team for today. Touchmaker on sound, Ranav on live edit, Christina Vogt on cameras, my co-host Bino for once. We start on time. Hello.
Yo, yeah, this is really WeAreBornfree.
WeAreBornfree. And today, what did we see today just previously to the starting?
It was amazing. Is it a theater piece? I'm new in this.
It's a theater piece, it's a game, it's interactive. We'll hear a lot more about it in a minute because we have the cast, some of the cast and the crew of the piece here. They're going to talk to us about it.
Right.
And just before this, we saw the premiere of this year.
Krimi
im Kiez.
Kiez. Wow. Sehr schön. Yes,
and the subtitle, yes, Krimi im Kiez, Kokskohle und Zwetschgenkuchen. And I'd like to invite the people who made this on the stage. That's you guys.
They're here?
Yes, they're here somewhere. I don't know if you can see them on the radio.
But today you can hear.
I'd like to present to you Francella Damian, director.
Woo! You are welcome.
Paul Gliga, whom we've had on camera duties here, who did the camera, the editing, the music for the piece.
Amazing.
We
Wonderful
have Janne Sachs. Janne Sachs, the beautiful lady who did the set design and the costumes.
Yes.
And we have Ariella Hirschfeld in the role of Aisha.
Wow.
And we have on a tiny screen over there, maybe we can see the tiny screen over there for a second.
Wow.
We have from Romania, recovering from all kinds of things, Pekka Stefan, the author of the piece, the genius who made all of this a story that somehow works beautifully.
Wow, amazing.
Woo! Hello, Pekka. Glad to have you here.
Good to see you.
Yes.
And my first question to the crew is, what's all this about?
All the micros goes to me. Hello, German or English?
English.
English. Okay, I try. So what's it's all about? It's a film that we make for TikTok. It's a new experience and experiment for us. It's a film that it's not linear.
It's non-linear.
Non-linear. There are 15 TikToks. I mean, this film contains 50 little video clips, and it gives you a quest about a Krimi, and the people have to find out who was the person who murdered Annalisa D.
And I believe the general topic of the piece, let's call it the piece, is gentrification in Kreuzberg.
Yes, it is.
How did you arrive there?
I mean, it's somehow a story that don't begin really in this Kiez, because I think 1 year ago, my dad was calling me, and he told me that his neighbor is dead, and it was a really old woman. And he didn't have a lot of contact with her, but he was really sad, and he told me, like, you know, I met the daughter of this old lady, and I wanted to know what happened with her, and I was going to the funeral. And then I saw my dad, like a person that goes to this funeral, and he's also not so young, so he's 60-something, and I know that he was thinking about moving in the apartment of this lady, because it's not in the 3rd floor, but it's Erdgeschoss.
It's on the ground floor.
On the ground floor, and I saw this guy in this funeral thinking about how he can get to this flat. And so it was the first idea that we thought, like, okay, it could be a Krimi about somebody who's died. In this case, she was not murdered, but it was the first idea. And then I was talking with Stefan, and then it comes one to another, and we start to develop. But it was also first a story that we want to develop for the radio. Stefan, tell us about that.
Yeah, I remember that we were walking on the Tempelhofer Feld when you told me about that, and we started to brainstorm a little bit. And I think it actually started. The idea started to from creating a game from a book that you could find in a book or you can publish, and then somehow it went to the radio where we were thinking to do kind of a Krimi story, but where people, a very few amount of people, would get to call the characters in the piece and kind of interrogate them for short amounts of time. And then after rounds of interrogation, they would find out, they would piece together enough information. So after an hour, they would enter a sort of radio play where a police representative, a police character, would confront their information and confront them to the characters themselves, played by actors who, for an hour, they would improvise a lot, having a lot of backstory to work with. And then in this 1 hour with the audience, that would have been broadcasted live for everyone to hear, you would basically create almost like a living theater piece. And then people from home could call in with their theories of who done it, as in any Krimi. So I think that was the idea, and actually I think we were thinking about Tak and the neighborhood Tak is in, to base the crime story on a burning issue or a burning topic from the neighborhood. So I think these were the germs of the idea that eventually evolved into Krimi in Kiez.
Yes, and then we were thinking about, okay, now we have something like a concept first for the radio, where the audience can ask the actors in these roles, what happened, where do you were, what do you do, and then we thought, okay, how you said, Stefan.
And also that this idea of a popular form of theater, I mean, it's a hybrid. It's not really theater, only theater, because the people from home, they could add and make up the story with their theories and add to the story. But by doing so, also using a medium like radio, which is a very open, accessible, non-internet medium, we could create a platform for a lot of people to participate and debate this topic by using this game as a pretext. That was the initial idea. So that's what evolved into TikTok.
Yes, and then we have good luck, and I had a stipendium.
We got a sponsoring.
Thank you very much for helping me. A sponsoring from Fond Darstellende Künste, Take Care. So I could start to have a really big research here in the Kiez, and we are here in the TAG Theater also today. And we are 7 theater makers that have this theater since 2018 running it. And so it was for me also from the beginning, I was really, really curious to know, where are we here? I mean, I'm living in Neukölln, it's not so far away. But I started also to talk to the neighborhood, to talk to social worker, to talk to the people who we have here now. We had a Baustelle.
Big construction site.
Big construction site of Pandion. So there are really new buildings with new super hip people that coming here in this Kiez. And right of the theater, it's the poorest quarter of Berlin, so it's really super mixed up quarter somehow. You have this super hipster, you have the Oranienstraße with the creative people, and so we really wanted also to find out what are the problems here in this quarter, what are the problems of the people, and we know since some month it was this big topic of Kish and Co, this Buchhandlung, the bookstore that have to go out from the Oranienstraße, and gentrification. It's a really, really, really big topic here in Kreuzberg. So it was natural to say, okay, this woman is living here in Wassertor Kiez, and this house that we have in the movie will be verkauft, sold. Thank you, Caram. And so after the research, I was talking a lot with Stefan. We were thinking about how we can build the story, and in this time, the theater also with Bino and with Caram, we apply for a TikTok sponsoring, and we get it in this time. So
somewhat miraculously.
Thank you, the guys. And then through this research, we thought, okay, now we have a sponsoring from TikTok. What we do with that? It would be great to do something for it, and not only to make trailers for theater pieces. So I talked to Stefan and I was like, hey, can you imagine that we make this story for TikTok? And he said, yes, let's do it. So maybe you tell us a bit about the concept that we have, because we had to change it a bit for TikTok.
Yes, and also for probably it's even from now on, it's an evolving concept. The idea is that we would propose for the audience using TikTok to enter this game and kind of attempt to, we would present a case, a crime scene and a case. And then you can discover by using hashtags a bunch of videos that the police has gathered as evidence. And then by exploring these videos that you find on TikTok, you respond and present your own theory of who done it, or if it was, you have three options. I think it was a murder, an accident, or help me out, which is the third?
Suicide.
Or suicide, yes, sorry. So by inviting people to play and to investigate, again, I think we transpose the same idea of like participation and conversation, which is basically about this topic, which in this in this story, it's about the theme, I think, is related to real estate and gentrification, and how people are pushed out, or how neighborhoods change, not always sometimes by devious schemes or not. But it's an invitation for people to join in the conversation, and in their response videos or their duet videos, they can add to by presenting their theories. Hopefully, they can add to this conversation and enrich it, and enrich the case as well.
It was also a big challenge for us, because TikTok, we are not 20. We're a bit older, and it was challenging how also, I think, for you, Stefan, to write a Krimi in different kind of pieces for TikTok. What means for TikTok? It means that the videos can't be longer than 3 or 4 minutes, and 3 or 4 minutes is also really long for TikTok, because everything that we see there, it's really, really fast. And it was also challenging to make it, how can we do it so that these people we react on it, or it will invite them, they will like to participate. And I know that a part of our concept was to have the policewoman, and she's introducing in this case, and all the videos the public will see are confisciert, I don't know this, confiscated from the mobile phones of the Verdächtige. Suspects, thank you. So that was also challenging, because thinking about, okay, we use only something like private videos that people made. And this private video, normally they're not like TikTok-like, that are really fast and with music, because when you are with your grandma and she's celebrating birthday, and somebody make a video of it, it's a private video. It's like a Erinnerung.
It's just a memory. It's a snapshot.
It's just a memory.
It's not dramatic necessarily.
It's not dramatic. Yes. And then we find out on the way doing that also this private videos that we really wanted to make it really easy, like one camera, it's only a mobile phone, we film it like it's private, and then we put it on TikTok. And then in this process we thought like, okay, but I think it have to be a bit more Geschwindigkeit. Faster, and yeah, it was a way to come up now with this video that we have now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we explore different types of conventions, because they're not all only private videos, but it's like what type of videos some of the characters were actually using as live videos, or as videos for the public, or even as TikTok videos made for TikTok, and other videos that is like found footage from their different devices. And I'm sure this is just step one in our discoveries, because I think you can do a lot by mixing these conventions and creating a story out of it, like a puzzle. And the invitation for people is to engage with the puzzle and add to it, add meaning to it, add conversation to it.
Paul, now can I ask Paul?
I was about to ask Paul. Go for
because Paul, I know, I met Paul and I told him about this idea to make a Krimi with us for TikTok. He was cutting, filming, making also music for him for this film, and I know it was also a challenge for you, Paul.
Oh yeah, look at me. I'm so exhausted, but it's worth it. It was a really big challenge to fit all this in this format for TikTok, and to film with having all these good cameras and choosing a phone. It was like really hard for me to do it, but also we had this challenge with the actors. They were not in the same time, which was a puzzle for me. Yeah. It was like taking scenes from, I don't know, each one had like 10 videos, and we had to cut just simple pieces. That's why you will see this movement, which it makes it more funny in a way or another.
And I can remember when we were talking of the concept, it was like, yes, and then Stefan was writing it, I was translated it, and then Paul is Romanian, so it was easier for him to read it. But then I remember when we meet first time, I think you had so much ideas how we can film that. It was like, yeah, this we can taking from here, and then we can make a camera, a movement around them. And you had a lot of idea how we can film that really, really funky.
Yeah.
And then?
And then all my wings were cut. I was like, okay, that's the format, that's the phone. We use what we have to do, so it was like not easy for me, but
yeah, because it was from the concept that all of this are selfie videos, self-made videos. So that what Paul, I think you was really amazed in the beginning to really make it really funky, crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to make it really artistic, but
yes.
Well,
I think it's
It is
nice
a little.
also now.
It changed a lot. Sorry.
Yes.
In the meantime, it became a comedy. You know, it was a
Right.
bit more serious, but the actors changed. It was really fun to shoot this because all the people were like giving their best and they were contributing to the story. Yeah.
Yes, it's really actual. I wanted to ask how really you managed to navigate the scene and the story together, because seeing it and hearing what you are saying, it's really makes the whole story fantastic and also right to the point what you wanted to address. But I was wondering how really, Francesca, I didn't know that Stefan was inside there behind.
He wrote it.
Yes, and also he was there for the scene too.
I mean, he was not on the in when we shoot it. He had to be in Romania, but in the beginning we talked a lot, also about the topic, also about what happened here in the quarter, how we can do it in this story, how can we do the concept, and yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I hope our dear listeners would have been here to see what you did, but anyway, they had
They
their
can
hearing.
see it from tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening on the TikTok channel of the TAC. So we will post every evening 3 videos.
Right.
4, maybe 3 or 4 every evening, and I think in a couple of days then all the videos will be online, and then the challenge is on.
Wow, great. So, yeah.
For our viewers at home, we are showing a picture of Paul and the amazing camera rig we actually built for your mobile phone. Which, I mean, I was very entertained building it with you. And just so you get an idea to what lengths we went to film this and to be able to record it in as good a quality as possible with mobile phones. So that's on screen now. Thank you.
Lights on. Lights on. Make it look as much as possible. Yum, yum, yum. Wait. Let's do this too.
And cut it. Okay, so we had a lot of fun doing that, as you can see. Franca. So, Stefan, I mean, I have a question. I have this very simple question: how did the play change in your mind when it went from being a radio production to being a TikTok production? I mean, were there any changes to it, to the plot, to the way you wrote it, to how you thought about it?
Oh, back when it was radio, the play wasn't written yet. Just had some ideas of characters and a plot, but basically, I don't know if I should call it a play. This thing, this story, this interactive kind of story. So it wasn't written yet. It evolved now, and it came to this format this summer and autumn, the beginning of the fall. And actually, I think it's still evolving because new ideas are emerging, and it might transform. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually very, very interested to see how people engage with it. And if they start to add to the story and communicate with the story. To me, that's the most interesting aspect, and this idea that we're looking for. I mean, I'm very interested in venues that somehow can bring a sort of popular venue to the people. and that, of course, you can think of popular theater, but in this arena of TikTok and hybrid version probably of how people interact with a story, I think there are very interesting avenues that will further get developed, not only with this but with storytelling in general. So I'm really interested in that, and I'm really excited to see how people can use this venue, because TikTok is a very popular venue in a way for very short stories.
And because people in the audience were already asking me this, will there be a continuation to the Krimi, even before we launch it?
It would be great. I mean, this idea that you can explore different issues and themes from the neighborhood, and that are relevant to society and to at large, and to the country probably, and to the continent, is very interesting to be done as a series of crime stories, which also have humor and can invite people to contribute in a very fun way.
Okay. I mean, I'm being told you need to leave, but I mean, I just want to add to that, there is a long tradition of social criticism through Krimi, through crime fiction, detective stories. I mean, there is that history there.
Because I think it's any story that involves investigations and procedurals, it is very close to our inquisitive nature. So we investigate, we are very curious, and we love to solve puzzles. And that's a very nice way to explore the issues in society and to tell a story, I think. And that's why always Krimis will be of a lot of interest in any society. We love to solve these mysteries. But by solving mysteries, if we can also tell a relevant story, it's great.
And vice versa.
What I was always thinking about, that the most plays that I see in Germany, there are Komödie or Tragödie or something in between, but you don't have it all. And Stefan is Romanian, me too, Paul, and I love it in that Romanians have a lot of these mixes also in movies or also in plays, and we also wanted to deal with that. It's, yes, the Krimi is something like a comedy, but there's a really important topic inside. And I love to make plays or to develop formats where you can discuss about really, really important issues on a funny way, or it's easier for maybe for people to get in, but it's not only funny, it's also really important to talk about this topic. So that's what I also, maybe it's a bit of our Romanian background, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, maybe we will hear that in the coming sessions, yeah? More about the background about these ideas. Yes, our dear listeners, you are listening to WeAreBornfree Empowerment Radio, live and direct on 88.4 megahertz here in Berlin. And today we are connected with XPLATZFUNK.
Why do I have a mic?
Yes, in TAC. In the TAC Theater. And we are here with wonderful guests. So I would like to switch around here because I saw you in the play. What were you doing? What were you doing there?
I was playing.
Oh, wow. Yes. Woo.
So, Ariela Hirschfeld, you were playing, as you say. Which role was it?
My role was an activist for, I want to protect this place, these kids. I want that the things stay like they are. I mean, I want to change that it's better to live here, but for the people who are already here, and I recognize that many people from outside, the lawyers and different companies wants to catch this area, and yes, like it is in real life, you know, the people come and take the places, the people who lives there have to go out, and I'm against it.
And I believe you're mainly a stage actress?
No.
Okay. So
why do you believe?
Because I know you from a play you acted in ages ago, but I suppose you do a lot of other things.
Yes, I do a lot of things. I play a lot in films also, and also in theater, and yeah, different things.
So that's exactly what my question is getting at. The difference between, for instance, acting for film and acting for theater and performing a role for TikTok.
Yes, it's interesting because I have the feeling that it's like a mix of both. It's like, I mean, in this film it was like a little bit, because it's humoristic, so it's not like a serious film where you are like deeply inside the role and psychology, you know, it's more that you do it with a little Augenzwinkern.
With a grain of, you do it with a grain of salt, if that translates well.
Yeah, it's like humoristic and a little theatralic, but not too much, so it's like, yeah, well mixed.
Some activism inside, because I saw you insisting.
Yes, I say I'm an activist in this part.
How did you come to this idea to stand for the kids and say, I gonna stand alone? I am part of the I am an activist, but always I go within the group, but I saw you alone taking a poster and stand in the front of the building. Yes. And how did you come to that strength?
I think what Bino is saying is that he was really impressed by your acting.
It wasn't, I mean, it was not my idea to do it. It was the idea of friendship. Like, for me, it was really weird because, yeah, this is like, you know, you stay outside and have to scream, and I felt a little bit, because the people are going there and they think that I'm mad or something. But, yeah, because I think the people which went through, some of them thought that I really make a demonstration now. Yes,
the
and
security guards in the background.
Yeah, so it was really strange. Like, I also said to my colleague, to Stefan Stern, I said, okay, this now is street theater, what we're doing now. I'm not used to, but it's a new career to act as a street actor.
You're really fit for it. You are perfect. You acted really perfect in it. So that's why I was asking. So, but you said it wasn't your idea. Why you didn't refuse?
No, I mean, it wasn't my idea to go on the street and to shout, you know. Yeah, but sometimes you have to do things which you have to jump over your shadow and just do it.
Yeah, comfort zones. Janne, tell us a story. Exactly. Tell us.
That's the question.
The question is, tell us about the characters, tell us about the costumes, how it was to outfit everyone, how it was, how you found the outfits for people, because, I mean, I was on the set a couple of times, and there were a lot of little details in there that I was very impressed by that helped that I suppose you thought of. So what's your process when you design a costume is my question.
Yeah, for me, it's because it's important to see the difference. It's not fashion or the theater or film costume. I always go through this analyse or like social, like working to understand what's the deeper side of the characters. That's why I work a lot on the detail, what kind of shoes they have, how they walk in the shoes, how dirty the shoes are, and they never see it in this TikTok. So actually most of the work I did, you don't see, but it's there because you see it in the face of the character because the way how they act is what they have on, you know. And also I made like Ausstattung as a stage, yeah, scene design. You don't see it as well so much because what I want to say, anyway, I did it with pleasure. It was very nice work, very interesting. And yeah, that's how Paul also said we had a crazy ideas. It's all there, but you just cannot see it because of this TikTok format, but you can feel it. And what I wanted to also say, it's I like a lot. It's not only Romanian, it's also Estonian. I come from Estonia. We have this kind of dark humor, and we believe, or I believe personally a lot in this. When through the humor, you can open the heart for the people to really get the serious information inside it. Or it's like the perfect combination is this tragic and comic together, and also this. Area, this Wassertor Kiez where we are, around Moritzplatz and everything, I'm very connected with it. I live in Neukölln, but I'm here in this house and around here since it was built. Even my daughter went to the kindergarten in this house, and she's now in the TikTok generation. So this is, for me as a mother, was the perfect way to go to connect me, my world, theater, with the world of my daughter, the TikTok. So. And yeah, she's my best assistant and critic about what I do good and what not. And also, yeah, that's, thank you, Sinamara. Woo! And I really love this team, the characters, and it, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a question I can put to all of you. Who is in this? I mean, since we're talking about the team and the characters, who is acting? How did you find the people, Francia?
How did I find the people? It's eine Suche,
it was
a search.
It was a search.
It was a search. Some of them, for example, Stefan Stern, that it's playing Kalle. We were together in the school. I was studying directing under Ernst Busch, and he was studying acting under Ernst Busch, and I know him from this time, and we couldn't work together, I don't know, until now. I really wanted to work with him all the time, all these years, and I mean, we're all in, I'm directing, he's acting since 10 years or more, and we couldn't work together until now. And when we were making this figure for Kalle, I was really thinking of him. I was like, okay, this is the role for Stefan Stern. But then I Googled him and I saw, oh, he's in the Thalia Theater in Hamburg. Okay, I can forget about it because he will not be here. And one day after my thoughts, I met him here in the theater. He was looking the performance of my colleague Lydia Gerecht. And he was here in the theater and I was like, Stefan, it's so great to see you again. How are you? I see that you're playing in the Hamburg theater, and I really wanted to ask you if you want to be part of this film that I want to shoot now, and I have a character that fits perfect to you, but I think you will not have time because you're in Hamburg. And then he told me, no, I'm in Berlin and I live here and we can do it. And I was like, really? Do you have time in 2 weeks? When? And this dates, yes, I'm here. And so I was so grateful that now I could work with him for the first time after so many years that I really wanted to work together. And then I came to Roland. Roland, bonjour. He's playing in the film Gérard. Gérard, the neighbor that have a problem with his nerves and he don't like when it's too loud.
What was it called again? I forgot what the term is.
Misophonie.
Misophonic.
Misophonic. And Roland also I saw here in the theater, in different kind of plays, also for my colleagues. And it was also when we developed this character, I was sure it have to be Roland Bonjour. I was super sure. But on the other way, the roles that I saw here in the theater, it was quite similar to what I wanted from him. And so I was like, Roland, I have a really great role for you, but it's a bit similar with what you normally do. And do you want to be in this film? Because I really love it to have him here for this role. And he was like, yes, just do it. Let's do it. And then, yeah, we figured it out. And so it came Roland Bonjour inside. Then through actress that I know since a lot of years, I was like, hey, I need an activism. I need an actress who wants to play in an activism. Is it right, activist?
Activist.
Activist. And then she told me, Ariela Hirschfeld, you have to meet her. She's really, really great. So I found out Ariela Hirschfeld, and then we talked about this play, and now she was in, and it was really a super, super, super nice work also with you. It makes so much fun, and you have such a nice temperature that also bring in this film. I think this is also for the other ones, because every one of them have really a complete other kind of energy, what it makes the film really rich in a way. Yes, and Thelma Boabeng, also I didn't know her personally before, but a lot of people told me like, hey, you have to talk to Thelma Boabeng, and she could be your police woman. And I was like, Thelma Boabeng, she's doing a lot of the stuff. I don't know if she will be in this little TikTok film that we make. And then I get in contact with her, and she was really like, yes, we do it. And I was super, super happy. Then we have some trouble with the dates, but yeah, at the end it comes out, and I'm super, super happy that she's also in this film.
Yeah,
Christa Müller. It's super nice to have Christa Müller as Madame Frau D. She's the woman that is murdered in the film. And I worked with Christa Müller before in a play we make, Du sollst den Wald nicht vor dem Hasen loben, von Jörg Klar. And in this play, she already played an old woman that leidet an Alzheimer. Caram?
Alzheimer is good.
Yes. And so we have Christa Müller. I had already with this play with her, and then I asked her if she can make it for the film. It's a similar role for her, and she was in, and I was super, super happy also, because it's quite similar with what she's playing in the other one, but she's super, super great, and she also made the cake for our shooting.
What a cake. I remember that cake. And no, it's another cake. The one we have here, I hate to say this. Helena Kontudakis.
Helena Kontudakis. Yes, Helena Kontudakis. Mafia. Madame, I said too much mafia, right? Madame Kaiser. I told her about the movie because I know her. I have an association called Pro Quote Bühne, where we are fighting for more female artists in theater, in film. I mean, our association is more in theater, and she's a colleague, but she's also an actress. And I told her about this film, and she was like, oh my God, I would love to play this character. And I was like, yes, if you love to play this character, just let it do it. And so Helena comes in.
This sounds like an amazing cast. It is. I mean, having watched the film, there are some really excellent performances in there. But I also know that you had a certain aim when you were casting. You wanted to go in a certain direction with your casting against what usually happens.
Ah, yes. I mean, as also an activist for theater, for me, it's a really big topic how actresses and actors are, wie sie besetzt werden.
How they're cast.
How they're cast. And normally you have always the migrant that is the mafia, and you have always there is a stereotype how people are cast. And I really wanted to break this stereotype because our society is more diverse, it's more colorful, and to put always the same person to be the bad ones and always the same person to be the good ones, it's so boring. So for me it was really important also for this film to really go completely in the other direction. So I have a black lady as a policewoman, and I have white people that are the bad people here in my film, and so I think we have a really diverse cast now. And gegen den Strich.
I read that maybe still others may interpret, oh, really, she fits for that because black people are always aggressive, and and to be a policeman, a policewoman, you must be aggressive. So also it could have that negative view, but I don't know whether you thought of that.
No, the problem is I have a lot of friends, actors, that are migrants, and they tell me, I have always to play the role of a bad boy in every film or in every play. With my face, look, I'm Arabic. I have always to be the bad guy, you know?
Yes.
And so it's like, hey, it's not like this. Our society is not like this. To have it always in this kind of stereotype, it's not real. It's not, yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it was really fantastic. I saw really she played it very well, asking seriously the white guys, and it was really good. And
thank you.
Yeah, impressive. You have something to say, or what?
Something.
Something dark side. So, do you have anything to add to all of this? Anything spontaneous that is maybe a bit further than something?
I think she's having something.
Okay. He wants me to have something. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I just want to say I saw this today also the first time I saw the whole composition, and it's really, really cute and colorful. Not just the costumes, also the cast, and yeah, I really liked it. It was fun. I enjoyed to see.
Thank you. I mean, I had really amazing crew. I can say it was a big pleasure to work also with Paul. Also, it was the first time, and thank you, Paul. I know it was super hard. Also, the last night. I mean, he was cutting until tomorrow at 7:00, and I think that this last cuts we will have tomorrow on TikTok. We didn't have it today. And it was a hard work. I think a lot of work, more work that maybe you thought at the beginning, or me.
Well, we started so simple with the phone, with selfies. It looked really easy. But then, when the story builds, then you came and you got the best. You get the best car, the best act, the best everything. And Francia did the most of the work. She was motivating the actors. She was like amazing. Without her, yeah, this would have not been. Yeah,
Thank you, Paul.
It was really hard.
Thank you. Yes, but it's possible only with really nice people, and I had there's really nice people inside, and now we have to check it out how the people will deal with that.
I want to say something. I was afraid to check my messages from her because every time there was a change, I was like, oh no, I work for nothing now. I have to do all over again. But whew, yes, it worked.
You made it, guys. It's there.
The puzzle is.
So maybe tell us where we can see it, when we can see it, how we can see it.
Okay, so tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening, we will post it on TikTok. There will be not all the TikTok videos. We have 15, and we post tomorrow some, 3 or 4. And also in the next days until the 24th, every evening we post 4 videos. So at the end, I mean at the 24th, you can start the challenge. So the people can post their commentaries or duet. I mean, the question in this Krimi is, who was it? Was Frau D murdered? Was it suicide or
An accident.
an accident? Yeah.
So thank you very much for that, Francia, Ariella, and Paul. We're going to go to a short break, after which we will continue with Dr. Henning from der Osten, one of the CEOs of Brüder Geisler, and have a conversation about the actual Kiez that we are in. So thank you very much. Let's go to break. Ranav, can we have the trailer, please? Thank you. 5 minutes.
Hallo, guten Tag. Franco Damian, hallo.
Hi.
Schön, dass Sie gekommen sind.
Hi. Ich bin der Einzige, der gekommen ist, richtig?
Leider der Einzige, der gekommen ist. Deshalb werden wir jetzt mit Ihnen reden.
Leider, dass ich auch noch so spät gekommen bin.
Ach, ist in Ordnung. Damit können wir umgehen.
Ja, es ist
Ich mach's mal auf der Bühne, damit nicht so viele Stühle sind, ne? Dann könnt ihr da zu dritt
4, 3, 2. Christina, we good? 1, 1, 1, go. So, hello back, dear listeners, viewers, and everything in between, dear friends and enemies. Welcome back to
WeAreBornfree Empowerment Radio Live at TAC, and in collaboration also with the XPLATZFUNK. And yeah, we are here with Francesca
and Dr. Henning from der Osten. Maybe you can introduce yourself to us.
Yes, well, I'm Henning. I think that's a bit simpler.
Okay.
And I run a factory right in the center of this Kiez. It's the Gebrüder Geisler GmbH, a limited company, and also another smaller company that's also located here. And Geisler is the oldest manufacturing company in this Kiez. Not that it was the first one to be founded here, but it's almost the only one left. Mm-hmm. So we already came to this Kiez in the 50s. That's before I was along, a part of the team. But the company was originally founded right in the neighborhood in the Skalitzer Straße, which is about 1 kilometer from here.
Okay.
So, and to myself, maybe I'm not from Berlin, and I came to this Kiez in 2012, and I have been witnessing the changes going on since, for the last decade, and I'm one of the first members of the Kiez Netzwerk, which was established a couple of years ago, and is very unique in that in this network there are all kinds of players, and there are NGOs involved, there are schools, and there are also companies like ours which are doing business on a commercial base, that is for-profit companies. Mm-hmm. And there are also among us property developers. So the bad guys, which we don't see as bad guys, just to put that in right in the beginning. They're part of our network, and we're trying to work together and find joint common ground solutions together.
How does the Kiez was changing since you're here? Can you tell us a bit?
When I arrived, the first time I was in this Kiez was in the beginning of the 90s. Geisler was a supplier to a company called Bosch, and I worked for Bosch for 21 years. That's a big international corporation. And I worked in several different positions, but for a time I was in charge of supply chain management for certain materials, and Geisler, the company Geisler, was at that time and still is a supplier for certain parts. So I came here as a customer, and that was in 1993 or 94, and it was very, very quiet here. Especially coming from a big international company where you are used to have bustling around, and factories are quite large scale with hundreds or if not thousands of employees. This was an area where hardly anything was happening. You could park anywhere along the street because there were lots of empty parking lots. And the remains of the former border were still visible, and traffic hadn't been reallocated to this area. Traffic would still go along Leipziger Straße. People hadn't found out that there was a good east-west connection going through Prinzenstraße, which runs right through the Wassertorkiez, the main street here. So my impression at that time was this is about the end of the world. It was very, very quiet. And I came here 2012 as I was able to do a management buy-in, and after having left Bosch. And at that time, things were already changing. The Aufbauhaus had just been completed. People were moving in here, and people moving in here were of a different kind than the people that had been working here before. We are in the Aufbauhaus right now, and this used to be a factory, just like the factory next door, which I am running today, and other factories which were in this area. You have to know that this used to be a very prosperous area. It was called the Exportviertel, the exporting section of Berlin. Lots of Mittelstands firm, lots of companies which are in the mid-range, employing between, let's say, 50 people and up to 5,000 people, were in all the buildings around us, the older buildings around us, until the end of the 80s. And after that, after reunification, most of these companies moved out of this area. So that was a very bad time for this area, and people lost their jobs. Many of them are still living here, have never returned to a decently paying job again. So that's one of the reasons why so many people who are living here are quite poor. And when I came here 2012, most of the buildings here were still not completely empty, but people who were using these factory buildings, many of them had to have lots of floor space, but there weren't very many people working in these buildings. And some of the owners thought of tearing down the buildings and doing something completely different, including the city of Berlin. And then the Aufbauhaus came here, and an investor from Hamburg came and bought the building, which is now Aquacarré, and at that time was more or less empty, and then there were a few artists there. A few people had warehouse there and similar, and they started renovating that building, and the Aufbauhaus started filling up. And within a few years, this area was changing its image, which then had lots of other people coming in addition. And then some investors started finding out that this is a place which is downtown in the middle, in the geographical middle of Berlin. It's a very interesting place to work because it's easy to get to, and you've got large factory spaces, so you can divide them up and use them as office spaces. And so the building started filling up. Idealo came here. Idealo is an affiliate of the Springer Verlag and is a software company, and it was one of the first software companies to come here. And so within 2 or 3 years after 2015, this started to become the hub for startups in Berlin, and it still is. And there's hardly an area within Berlin where more new jobs are created and more new business is built up. So that's really a good story to tell as things are developing great for the people who are coming here to work. But at the same time, and that's the reason why we set up and developed the Kiez Netzwerk, at the same time, if you cross the Ritterstraße, you've got this project area where people are remaining poor, where the unemployment is above 50%, and where children don't really know where they're heading to. And so we have a big contrast if we're looking at the people living here and working here during daytime. You can also notice, if you go along the street, the different languages you can hear here. If you're coming in after 9 o'clock in the morning and are leaving again before 7 o'clock in the evening, you would think this is somewhere, it could be somewhere in Hong Kong or New York, or it could be Sydney. It could be Paris in certain areas, or some other place in the world, because the street language is English. It's not that the people are native English speakers, but the common language everybody is speaking here is English. If you come earlier or you leave later, you will see the most often, the language spoken most often here is Turkish, and then it's Arabic, and then comes German. So you've got the mix of cultures here every day, but next to another, it's only on the street that it gets mixed. And that's something that we haven't found out yet how to overcome.
And you were saying earlier that one of the aims of the Kiez-Netzwerk is to find common ground between developers and people who are already around. And because this is also one of the topics of the Krimi, how does this common ground look like?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, first of all, there are lots of different kinds of developers. As you already stated earlier, I heard that, and there are lots of different kinds of people living here and working here. You've got property owners who have been owning property here since before anybody moved here already. They inherited property, and they are changing their property too. They're building office buildings and things like that. There are several examples right here around Moritzplatz. You've got companies and investors, international investors, who have been buying old factory buildings and developing these buildings and putting in office space instead of factory space. And then you have companies who have bought empty property lots and have built new office buildings. That's Pandion next door. And each of them have a different influence on what's happening. And I'm only talking about the business sector. Many people, when they are talking about changes, are only looking at changes you can see in the living areas. But we also have a far more dramatic change in the last couple of years in the business sector of this Kiez. Also, just considering the price of renting here has risen dramatically. So that's where the larger change has been happening. But we all know, or I guess we are all expecting, that the changes in this part, in the business area, will have a very large impact in the living quarters. So we also have the owners, the different kind of owners in the living quarters. We have the Genossenschaften, which is a very old institution in Berlin, owning most of the apartments here, and which have a very long-term perspective. We have companies like Deutsche Wohnen, who bought buildings here and have a midterm perspective. And in the last couple of years, some investors from even outside Germany and outside of Europe have been buying buildings probably with a short-term perspective. We don't really know because we haven't got them into the Kiez-Netzwerk yet. But we're talking to everybody. We're trying to find out what their interests are, what their plans are. And some of them are cooperating very closely with us, those with the long-term perspective. And some do not answer to our requests for talking with one another.
And the protests, I mean, I'm going to focus around Kish & Co., who I believe are also in the Kiez-Netzwerk, and who ironically now got a rent contract from Deutsche Wohnen to enter a completely new place, which is a nice marketing coup for Deutsche Wohnen. But let's put it this way, Oranienstraße used to be very different from what it is now. It used to contain a lot more, let's generally say, culture, a lot more diverse shops. And because I was covering the protests in part, I know that a lot of the people think that it's turning into a party mile. So basically a tourist area. how does this affect business, for instance? I mean...
Yes. Well, Oranienstraße is not part of the Kiez. Of course, it's a neighboring area, and everybody working here knows a bit of Oranienstraße. You have to go back a bit in history. Oranienstraße used to be profiting from all the factories here and all the people working here. So it used to be a more, not upscale, but on a higher scale, a business area, which was then run down after the factories left. And now it's upscaling a bit, but it's still very, very mixed. And it's something, I guess, which is a magnet for many renters coming here, for many businesses coming here, because their employees like going down Oranienstraße, having their lunch there. And so it's changing again, yes.
I mean, Berlin was always a cosmopolitan city. So
yeah, and always changing.
Yeah, no, I mean, to say it in German, nothing is more constant than change.
Right.
And that is something that also in the protests people were very understanding of, in a way, that they had come here as migrants way back in the day, either as some of them were Gastarbeiter, some of them had just come from other parts of Germany, from other parts of Europe because of Berlin. But there was a recognition, in a way, that this is part of how cities develop and part of maybe not a total urban renewal, but part of how cities enter a new era, in a way. And I mean, I actually have two questions there. What does Gebrüder Geisler produce? Because I don't think you told us yet.
Oh, no, I didn't. It produces the metal parts, conductors for electric assemblies. So our parts go into sensors, they go into computers, they go into pacemakers. And it's the wiring. It's not the semiconductors. It's not the intelligence going into electronics. It's the metal parts that go into electronics.
So,
I have also a question. You told us about this unemployment of the people here next to us in the Kiez, 50%. Is there also a network where also the people from the Kiez are in this Kiez network, or because my feeling is it's really divided?
Yes, well, the Kiez network was founded by some NGOs, and which the people managing these NGOs saw what was happening in the commercial part, and the idea was to give people an opportunity who are living here. Now, so the people living here are represented by, I think there are 23 NGOs right now in the network. That's quite a lot. But of course, most of the people running these NGOs are not people coming from here. So it's the same as on the business side. People live outside and come in. Those who are the agents of change are not really living here. Of course, there are some, but they are a minority. If you see a Kiez Netzwerk assembly, you will see similar faces as you might see in this theater, and it's not the same people you see living in the Kiez. It's an issue we have, as far as I can see, in many groups which are trying to improve the situation of Kiezes.
Are there people living here that are working in your company?
Not one anymore, and I don't get any applications from here, which is something I think is more concerning even. That is, we're going to the schools here, we are asking and inviting school classes to come and visit us, and many of them do. In the last couple of years, That is before Corona, because no, the schools weren't allowed to visit us anymore, and we were very restrictive too. But let's say till now, 2019, I saw about every student of classes 9 and 10, at least once, when they were visiting us. And we invited them to ask for, let's say, a Schülerpraktika, so coming in as a short-term intern. But we didn't get one single applications within years. So that's one of the reasons why I think it probably is to the advantage of the Kiez if we get a better mixture. You know, a Kiez can be too one-sided and too neglected, and that leads to a situation where nobody can break out anymore. Social mobility just stops, and I think I've got the feeling that has happened, and so what we need is but in the right speed, is that to have some of the people who are coming here with new, good jobs, paid well, and to start living here, bring their children in, and start mixing up the whole area without moving out everybody else, pushing out everybody else. And so we have to get a kind of a mixture. But it's nothing that we can just design and make happen. We, as a factory, can't do that anyway, but it's something we are trying to facilitate.
Yeah, it's really cool, and liked your explanation, your response to all the questions. And I was just feeling that my friends have taken away the questions, but still there is something, and it is interesting that your company still it's in lack of people around. And I was wondering, because you said you tried to contact the people around, mainly the students, but also we have a lot of migrants around who are really job seeking, and behind here we have a big refugee house, and in front after Goli, there is also another big refugee camp. And if you look at also around the Goli, there are people there, I think they are not only just hanging out there in the park, but I think they can do a really very good job.
Yeah, sure. Don't get me wrong. I would guess, I don't have figures here right now, but I would guess that more than half of our employees have a migrant background. But we have people from all over the world, but they're not coming out of the Kiez here. Mm-hmm. And the issue here is we've got this third generation problem. So migrants are very ambitious, and they are asking to come here all the time. I get lots of applications from migrants and their children. The issue we've got here is the grandchildren.
Okay. And is also your company open to all languages? Or
yeah, sure. We've got just as many languages here as in the Kiez. We've got people from Vietnam and Poland. We've got we had someone from South Africa. He left, but we're just getting someone in from Nigeria. We've got people from the United States, and we've got East and West German, which is almost, it's different a culture as North and South Vietnam, which we have both. We have people from Poland and Romania with Russian background. So, and that's only the people I'm thinking of right at the moment. If I think about it a bit longer, you'll find out we have even more. We have a big mixture.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I had a question because when I was researching also the problems here in the Kiez. People told me a lot about junkies, a lot about drugs, a lot about, I mean, in one evening I was here in the theater and I had a little break, so I was next door to the Dönerladen. It was 9 o'clock in the evening, 9:30, and I was eating there, and it was a rainy day, so it was only one table outside that was where people could sit, and I was there alone, and then a really young child came and asked me, can I sit next to you? And I was like, yes, sure, just go. And then I looked at him and I was like, you know, sorry that I'm asking you, but you look really young. How old are you? And he was like, yes, I'm 13. I was okay, and you're alone? And he said, yes, I'm a migrant. I'm alone, sure. It's normal in our culture. And I was like, yes, in my also, but okay, what are you doing? And he told me, yes, I was ordered a döner, but what? And he told me from nothing, like, you know, the problem is I wanted to call the police because there's some junkies there and the dealers, but I'm really afraid that if they know that I will call the police, I will have some bad issues with them. So I'm not sure if I should do that. We were sitting there eating a donut, talking about calling police with 13 years old child. And yes, he told me that unfortunately also his father was going more and more in drugs in the last years, and that he take care also of his little brothers. And it was a quite hard story for a evening that I was not expecting here in the Kiez. And I also heard from other ones that there is some issues. Was this an issue in the Kiez Netzwerk?
Well, of course it is. And we don't have just one drug scene, we have at least 3 drug scenes here. And we have a drug scene concentrated around the U-Bahnhof Moritzplatz. That is people coming, let's say junkies, coming from outside of the Kiez, meet there with their dealers just for a couple of minutes and go apart again. Anybody who goes there at certain times can see that happen. And if there's too many police people coming in, they will just move on to the next U-Bahnhof. It's not really connected to the Kiez, it's connected to the U-Bahnhof. Then we have several clubs here, and you can observe that the next morning after club nights that you will find remains of drugs around the area. We have to pick up remains about every morning on our property. And but the people going to these clubs, they don't live here either. They come here and they have fun, and the area is well known in all of Berlin for good clubs. So that's another drug scene, party drugs. And then we've got dealers living here and servicing people also living here. So that's the local drug scene, which is the one you don't really see on the street. And the junkies, they don't live on the street. The drug addicts, they live in their apartments. So that's the hidden drug scene. And that maybe is the worst one because nobody really knows how large this drug scene is and if it's growing or not. And yes, so several drug scenes. It's we have been discussing it within the network, and also politics sees that as an issue. All the local politicians have been trying to take care about that. The state level, Berlin level, has been trying several approaches, but as we all know who are coming here to work, nobody has solved it yet. Yeah. But it is an issue. It's one of the reasons why we close our gates after shop closes, and why we've got cameras. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why mostly my female employees do not like coming here very early with the U-Bahn. And it's one of the reasons why we are trying to put pressure on the BVG, operating the U-Bahn, to take care of Moritzplatz, which is one of the most, one of the largest U-Bahnhofs in Berlin, but is in a very bad shape. We think that should be improved. Even so, we know that's only moving the problem somewhere else.
I mean, I have a question to both Fransche and to you, Henning. Fransche, you were talking about your research right now and the problems you discovered in the Kiez, and we also see these in the Krimi. So what are the biggest problems you discovered?
Yeah, the problems is that this, how I told you before, that the children are really like, they live here and they're confronted with this. And also when we shoot here in the Wassertor Kiez, because we were there for 3-4 times or more, I met one little guy. He was all the time there. It was morning, it was evening, he was always there, and he was 9 years ago. 9 years old. So, and I told, because also we in the theater, my colleague Stefanie Enelt and Anna Koch, they made up a new group and invited also young people to come and to play. And it's really hard to see these children on the street, and he told me also, what are you doing? And I was like, we're shooting a Krimi. And we had a lot of money with us, and I don't know how he figured it out, that it's also about cokes. And he told me like, do you have some? Do you want some? I was really like shocked somehow.
And this is a 9-year-old kid.
Yes, it is.
But
yeah.
Apart from the drugs, what other problems did you discover, or what other problems did you discover in the Kiez in the neighborhood? I mean, in the Krimi, you're talking about drugs. You're talking, I think, about garbage, also Müll. Yes. And what other problems did you find?
Müll also, what you say, that it's a big issue also for the people who lives here. I heard only that a lot of people will send their children to throw away the garbage, but they're really little, so they can't go.
Go over the fence, they can't throw it?
So there is a lot of stuff next to it, and then the rats came, and it's a big issue, I think. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm now going to throw the question over to Henning and ask him which problems he sees in the Kiez. We've already talked about drugs. What other problems do we have that are not related to that?
Yes, of course, drugs and garbage are issues, but that's not. Yeah, but that's not unique to this Kiez. It's unique to big cities, but it is a bit more in Berlin than, let's say, in Stuttgart. There are cultural differences there. Not saying that you have less migrants in Stuttgart and more here or something like that, because that's not true. There are other reasons why the issue isn't the same in Stuttgart as it is here. Some of the issues are inner city issues. Our larger issue is that, I already mentioned that we have a kind of bubble here, and people have difficulty growing out of the bubble. Yeah, so it's something that we have to improve through education. And
so basically mixing the Kiez up, what you were saying earlier.
And mixing up is on the one side, that would help to improve schools, and on the other hand, to focus on education of younger students and help them think of applying for jobs that are not typical for this Kiez. I'm not thinking of that everybody should be applying for jobs in production. I'm looking at the software companies here, let's say HelloFresh, just coming in here with 1,300 people and still employing. You need software skills, that means you need mathematical skills to get into those kind of jobs. Same is true for Odessa, who are going to move in a month from now with about 1,000 people, engineers. You need a different kind of education, but these are jobs that are really paying well. And why shouldn't someone with a German-Turk background go on through university and take up a job like that? There's no good reason why that shouldn't happen.
I wanted to add, because you asked about the kids, I think I discover also really nice stories. I mean, I was a time where I was going through a Kiez cafe, that's also here in the quartiers management, and it was super nice to see there a lot of old ladies coming there together, being, how you said, from really different parts of the world, like a background. And even if not every woman could speak German, there were also the social worker. They were really being every Wednesday on one table, drinking coffee and eating cake, and everybody was talking in his language, but with each other. It was not like we're the Turkish community and we talk only with us and there's the Germans one. It was really mixed, and that I felt that really, really nice, this kind of meetings. And there's also so many stories that I heard also from these ladies that I could make, I think, 10 films, unless from all the backgrounds where they come, where they were working before they get in pension. And yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add to that, because I think it's very important to see the positive parts which are there too. And you don't see broken windows here. This is not an inner city slum. Even so, it's the poorest area of Berlin. It's not an inner city slum. If you go to the poorest area of Chicago or the poorest area of London, you will see something different. It's also not a banlieue, because it's not outside of this city like the banlieues you've got outside of Paris or Marseille. It's downtown, which means people they don't need a car to get to a job if they've got a job. They can live here and take public transportation or even go by foot. And so this is a very, very great resource we've got here. And people do have a kind of a community here, and they are meeting. The NGOs are helping, but they are meeting anyway. Many people living here have been living here for a long time. So their children have grown up here, and there is something of a community here, which is very positive. And it's something that we have to really be careful not to change, and that's where politicians have a responsibility to ensure through building codes and when allowing investors to giving them building permits to take care that that change isn't coming too quickly. I think we need a bit of change, but we have to be very careful that this change doesn't push out too many people.
Yeah, and I think also as you company directors and companies in general around, you have to open your doors, like organizing some sort of events or public events, and show that we are part of you, not leaving it to the activists or these NGOs, because for us, like me, if I go on the street and I am invited by activists, I will look at you as a company director as my enemy, because I know that you don't like me so much. And also you like me maybe because you can exploit me, But if you come out and take the public space and say, hey, guys, young people, migrants, we are here for you. Can you come and we talk? I think also will help a lot for mostly younger people to deal with their trauma they have around, because some, they have education, but maybe not enough. So, or they are tired from the school and they feel they can't do it anymore. So, what is the easiest thing to do is to have a joint or something which can cool their temper down. And in this process, people go kaput, you know, because they are redundant, they are lost, you know, but and they are jobless because they didn't complete their studies. So the companies, I think that's where you can come in. And
yes, you're right about that, about opening up. And companies in Berlin, in general, they are open, but the ways they show their openness probably aren't the right ways that they would be seen. That is, we organize events for students, we rent some place and then advertise and say you are asked to come over, and hardly anybody comes. We're not really picking up the people where they are. I guess many people, not only migrants, people third generation, I spoke of them already, they probably think the barriers are just too high. The barriers are high in a certain way because we need certain qualifications. And we don't have our own schools, you know. So you have to have a certain level of, let's say, knowledge in mathematics to get in the first place. If you've got that level of mathematics, and let's say migrants coming from Syria most often have them, then you come in here, just as an example, because looking at the different group of migrants, you will see that you've got lots of different biographies, but there are some certain sets. Migrants coming from Syria very often are coming from big cities and have seen lots of schooling. Migrants coming from Afghanistan, many of them haven't seen a school for 5 or 6 years. That's a big difference. And for us as a potential employer anyway. But that's why we're going to the schools and trying to pick up people there when they're young, and try to not only asking them to apply for a job, but trying to give them a perspective and tell them that it makes sense to stick to school, to finish school, and then go on to further education, because this not only in the past years has this been the only way to getting into good paying jobs. In the future it will remain that way. So everything goes through schools, and that's where we aren't really getting enough people into.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, well.
Maybe not a question, but because we're talking about these issues that I think some migrants have them, refugees have the problem to come into this working area, but it's a kind of racism. I mean, it's not Berlin, it's about everywhere. I know in Stuttgart also my cousin is have a husband, he's Turkish, with a Turkish background, and he's born in Germany, and it's super, super hard for him, even if he have a really good school Abschluss, and to get a job. I mean, he also was working a lot at Mercedes-Benz, then he wanted to change, and also, or even to get a flat because of the name. And they look at the name and he's out, and he's German. I mean, and this is the issue of the whole society, and it's not only Berlin. I know that's about Stuttgart, and it's a big, big issue that people that maybe not have the German name, or I'm from a family that my mom, we're coming from Romania, and my mom is from the German Minderheit, minority. And my dad is Romanian, and I know a lot of people, for example, that came from this German minority to Germany, they changed their names to make it easier to get a job and to be considered as a German here. We didn't do it, but a lot of them did it only to have a better chance to work. And I think this is a really big issue that the society, all of us have to change it, because it don't have to be about the name, the color, the sexual orientation or whatever. And I think we're on the way. Also in the theater, I'm also working with a lot of directors for changing also the situation for women in the theater, because there's 70-80% of men of plays, of directing, more than 90% that are leading theaters. And there are a lot of women who wanted to make art, and they're not allowed. I mean, not allowed, it's not the good way to say it, but it's hard for them to get inside. And yes, I think there's a lot to do.
Yes, and then again, we are seeing demographic change. And we are seeing that there still is growth in employment, which has been interrupted through the coronavirus pandemic, but which will be returning in the next months already and next years, which will lead to the necessity of employing people who are skilled without looking at color or their social background or sexual orientation, as has been already happening in the last couple of years. We have been seeing large changes. Has been going quicker in production, because in the end it's production maybe always has been an area where people are looked at for their skills. But you're completely right. There are many other areas of society where the spelling of the name is still very significant factor for advancing or not. I can't contradict you on that. I'm a bit, maybe in my outlook, a bit more optimistic. You know, when many refugees came here, the employers said, great, we need more people. And that's one of the reasons why Germany opened up that much in 2015. And employment among migrants who came in 2015 has been growing steadily. Not fast enough, but it has been growing. And I guess the workplace still is the best place for bringing people together. Yeah, it's the main thing is to get a job, and that's where we're on the same line.
On that, there are a lot of conditions. You talked about someone having good education. I can count on myself. I had some education with me, but on the condition, the living conditions could not permit me to reach my goal. You know, I finished my diploma in art in Uganda, but I could not use it. I had all my papers here. You know, I presented, and this paper could not work. What the university told me, do you have a residence permit? I said, no. I said, we can't do anything. You know, it's really good. You have also, I had some practical paper stuff with me, art stuff. The university liked it, but they said, we can't do it. And then what I had to do, if I wasn't focused, maybe I would have resorted to Goli or something to keep me high, you know. But I said, okay, my hope to study at the uni is over, and now I can't really get a job I deserve. So what to do? You know, I have to stand as I am, and until now I am, you know, getting up myself to the level I wanted to be. And I think there are thousands of people like me, you know, and but they're stagnant. They're fragile. They can't move because the system has held them. And if they try to escape out to come to you, you say, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe I look at, but are you?"
You're right. You're right. We're not employing artists. We're employing technicians. You know, we're employing people who have good skill in engineering and mechanics and physics and so on. And HelloFresh, I don't know whom they are employing, but I guess they're employing people who can write software codes and design new food boxes. And
so where do the artists go?
Yeah, where? Yeah. They go to Auguststraße in Berlin, the galleries.
They go to TikTok.
No, the point is not all about art, my profession, but the point I wanted to bring out that the system holding the people's hands, capability, the capacity. I have people who are good in mathematics. Me too, I was good in mathematics. If I knew that there are opportunities that I can study engineering, why not? But if now I am stopped because of my residence, how can I achieve that? And I know there are very many. I have very many friends who are really intelligent and they have these qualifications, but the status matters. So I don't know whether you have tried to. You said you talk to politicians if you address that issue.
Sorry, can I answer? Bino, I think the point is, I can give you an example of my dad. My dad was a ballet dancer. Okay. I mean, okay, after 40, you can't dance anymore normally, okay? That's the problem on everybody of this kind of artists. But I think it's really hard, but on the other side, he made 2 other new Ausbildungen. Educations. With 40, 45, the first one as an electro engineer, it didn't work out because at the beginning, everybody told him like, yes, this is you will ever have work because it's bombensicher. But no, because something changed and it comes something from China that it makes this kind of study what he does for nothing. So he worked 1 year in that and it was away. So he decided to do something else. What could he do? And he couldn't speak really good German, so he was also learning German. And then he made an Altenpfleger. And then he's since 20 years he was working as Altenpfleger. What can you do? I mean, it's a really hard situation because I know also a lot also of people that came as different kind of engineers or advocates. Lawyers. I knew a lawyer from Syria. She's 30 years old. I was working with her and she told me like, what can I do here with my lawyer diploma? I'm from Syria. And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's always a search where it's your place or to look for what could fit to you. I think for everybody, for us, even if it's super hard. Yeah. But you already find your place, Bino.
Yeah, I'm doing
Bino's all over the place, but he works as
Altenpfleger. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's interesting to know that Berlin used to be the largest industrial city in Europe. Today there are about 115,000 people working in industry and production in Berlin. There are more people working in Altenpflege and in hospitals than in industry in Berlin. So it seems to be the area to go to.
Yes, I think the conditions are not harsh like yours.
Altenpflege is probably paid better than let's say the simple production job in our area, but
yes.
the possibilities to improve if you've got the skills probably are better within industry.
Right. And also within our job opportunity, we need the education. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. We are off?
We are almost done.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, guys. And who is on the camera here in the front? Christina Vogt. Hey, thank you very much. It was really amazing. And the sound is good.
Yes, Henning. Touch, damn it.
Yeah?
Touch.
Touch and...
Our
yes.
sound from Tag Theater.
Wow. The light is really great. Everything today is fantastic. Yeah.
So right now I think we're looking at Henning. Touch, damn it, warum verwechsel ich euch gerade? So Touch Wolfgang Mirche, our sound magician, honoring us today with his presence. Rana Vadikari, damn, I really don't have a name game today. Has been doing our live edit. Christina Vogt has been doing our camera. Who worked on the lights? The guy running around somewhere back there. Henning Streck. Thank you, Henning Streck, the invisible master of our technical setups. And
thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for this discussion, and we are from the TAG in the Aufbauhaus, sending it live. Thank you for listening, and now I give it back to you guys.
So, dear viewers, listeners, friends and enemies, thank you for watching us on XPLATZFUNK on YouTube, on Facebook, for being on WeAreBornfree on 88.4 in Berlin
and 90.7.
We're also on Stream.co, and thank you very much to Dr. Henning from der Osten for joining us for this talk today. Really enlightening.
You have the last word?
Enlightening. If you have anything to add, now is the point to do it.
Okay, thank you for looking at this Kiez and trying to help solve its issues and helping the people here, but also looking at the good parts and the interesting this interesting area where you really like coming to and work at.
And Fransche, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this show. I've been wanting to do it for a while. Thank you for the Krimi im Kiez, and tell us again where we can watch it as of?
On TikTok, tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We will post every day until 25. Every day posts, videos from Krimi im Kiez is a puzzle, and you have to solve this puzzle.
You have to.
Go there.
And roll the trailer.
Yes.
Not the trailer.
And yeah, why not the trailer? And we're out. Thank you very much. Das ist jetzt auch der Kiez.
Ja, echt super spannend.
Schade, dass ich alleine hierher gekommen bin. Ich hatte vorher noch versucht, Julia zu erreichen.